we'll be looking at the Tosefta from Sanhedrin that lays out the basic rules for giving Hatraah. Again, Hatraah as a legal structure that is required in order to impose certain penalties in court, especially the death penalty. It begins, remember, this is a description of the rules and procedures of Hatraah. How does Hatraah work? Chayavei mitot beitin. So we're talking about people who are doing anything that would be punishable by mitat beitin. Ein mechavin otan ella. They cannot actually be convicted unless, right? Here are the requirements for the person to actually be sentenced to mitat beitin. Al pi edim, have witnesses, vehatraah, and a warning. So the first thing is there have to be witnesses, obviously, and those witnesses must give a warning. Right? But more than that, the warning has specific content. Not only, oh, don't do that, va'ad sheyodi'uhu, until they inform him. Who's the they? The witnesses. So there have to be witnesses. Those witnesses must give a warning, and that warning must include the information that chayav mitah bebeit din. Not only that it is forbidden, but that it is an act that can get the death penalty. So that we know for sure that this person understood before doing the act the full consequences of his action. Okay, so that's the basic rule. Edim, Hatraah, and that Hatraah must include the punishment that awaits. Halacha bet adds another element. Matrin bo v'shotek. Right? They warn him, and he is silent. So already we've gone into another angle. We're now talking about how the person being warned responds. They warn him and he's silent. Matrin bo umarkin et rosho. They warn him and he nods. Af al pi she'amar yodea ani. Now, this is a third case. Okay, he's silent, or he nods, or even if he says yodea ani, patur. Now, patur, that seems a little overboard. He says, I know. Why would he still be patur? We've got to not think about it practically, but more conceptually. What are they trying to get at? What are they imagining? I think they're imagining someone coming and telling you, okay, that's enough video time. It's time to go and exercise or clean the whatever. And you say, I know. By which you mean, I'm not listening to you. I'm trying to make you go away so that I can keep playing this video game. So there, right? Even a yodea ani can be a way of just ignoring or getting you to go away, getting the warners, the adim to go away. It does not indicate, yes, I have processed and fully understand what you're saying. Ad she'amar, he can't be convicted unless he says, Yodea ani v'amanat ken ani oseh. I know, and amanat ken here, right? I'm not doing it to get killed, but rather I understand and nonetheless proceed. He must specifically say he knows and doesn't care. At that point, we have not only given him a warning, we have definite confirmation that he understands the implications. He understands what's going on. The next two halachot are illustrations, specific examples of how this is supposed to work. Kezetzad, how. You'll see it often as ketzad. How does this work? For example, and they give two examples. Number one, Ra'uhu shemechalel et Shabbat. They, the witnesses, saw someone violating Shabbat. Amrulo. They said to him, Heve yodea, you should know. Be aware that it's Shabbat. And v'ne'emar mechaleleha mot yumat. They not only tell him the punishment, they cite the pasuk that is its source. Excellent witnesses. So the first thing they've done is simply illustrated how does this Hatraah work. They give you a sample script. And the second thing is to repeat the distinction made at the end of the last halacha. Yodea ani is not enough. He must say Yodea ani the almanatkin. He must clearly indicate that he fully understands the consequences and nonetheless chooses to proceed. For Shabbat, they see him doing this. They inform him it's a crime. They quote the pasuk about death penalty. They have done their job. And yet, we still must consider how he responds in determining whether this is punishable. Now, think about that in regard to the second. Ra'uhu sheharaget hanefesh. He's killing someone. Amrulo. I love this image. Heve yodea. You should know. Heve yodea. Shehu ben Brit. He's a Jew. Interesting to talk about why that is or is not relevant. This phrase seems to imply that you can only get the death penalty. Not that it's permitted to kill a non-Jew, but that you can only get the death penalty at least for killing a Jew. But then they quote a pasuk, v'ne'emar, shofech dam ha'adam ba'adam damu yishafech. One who spills blood is put to death by a human court, which is a line from Parshat Noach that very clearly applies to all of humanity. So, but nonetheless, they see him killing someone. They give him Hatraah in the proper form. Right? This is either a Jew or a person or whatever. You are obviously killing him. And the Torah says that the punishment for that is death. They have done their job. And then the Tosefta repeats the caveat about his response. Yodea ani is not enough. He must say Yodea ani v'almanatkin. Right. Again, he must say that in order to be able to convict him and and give him the death penalty in a court of law. So we now have the rules for Hatraah. First, the rules about what the Eidim and what they say. Then, secondly, the rules about how he responds, and then two examples: one about Shabbat, one about someone who is horeg et nefesh. Again, the Shabbat and horeg et nefesh are simply examples of crimes that get the death penalty. Right? They're simply there to illustrate how this legal structure of the giving and acknowledging of Hatraah work in a couple of simple examples. Now, Now you can step back and say, okay, but um, what about this? It might be of interest to our sugya. Which piece of this is relevant? And to ask that question, you look back at the beginning of our sugya and recall that we had two statements. Rav Huna says, katan harodef can be stopped. A katan can be considered a rodef and can be stopped if necessary. And then the Gemara made an inference. This means, since a katan can't be given hatraah, this must mean that a rodef can be killed without giving him hatraah, unlike other types of death penalty. Okay? And um, and so now ask yourself, what piece of this Tosefta speaks to that question?